It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Man, I am so excited. You know, you all knew that early last week, I went up to Cedar Rapids to our good friends at Great America. I sat in that fantastic looking classroom they have. And the folks at Collaborance, the wholly owned master service provider that Great America owns, put on a class, an IT sales class. And you know, my friends, I've been looking around the industry for a long time to find people that align with my thinking. I went to this class. I spent 2 days with this gentleman, and he aligns with my thinking closer than anybody I've ever met. And so today I wanted to bring Alex Rogers and Nick Points on. I want them to talk about CharTech because, ladies and gentlemen, as you try to pivot into IT services, you got to stop listening to these fools that don't know what they're talking about and start listening to people that do. Alex, it's fantastic to see you again. I had a great time up there in Cedar Rapids. You put on a fantastic class. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Nick, this is the first time I've gotten to meet you. And Greg, everybody knows you. You've been on a couple of different times. But I want to start with a question for Greg right out of the gate. Greg, why in the world does Collaborance align itself with Alex Rogers to teach the class? Because I know he's been doing it for like 6 years. Why'd you pick him?
Yeah, we've done it for a while. I think that was our 24th session. We've trained close to 800 people. I had somebody pull the numbers the other day, and that's impressive. And so to answer your question, why, from our perspective, Alex takes you from step 1 to step 40. I don't know how many steps he has, but all along the way, it's a process. You know, sales is not some voodoo magic. There's a process, there's a methodology to it. And he takes somebody who is green, who doesn't know IT, all the way to somebody who has had experience in the field selling IT, gets them all aligned at a proper baseline, and then walks them step by step by step by step on how to sell value, not how to sell IT. And it's been very successful for us. And so we're, looking forward to next year doing some more with Alex.
Well, you know, Greg, you know me, and we've talked a lot about IT. And one thing Alex didn't say in that whole class, which made me like him even more, he never told the audience how smart they were and they're greatest salespeople in the world and they're positioned perfectly to just go out there and sell IT, like it's a sorter on a copy machine. And so I was excited about that because you hear a lot of the, some of the consultants tell us that. They tell us that they give too much confidence, and so we don't learn enough. But Alex, you've done this, 24 times, he said? 800 students. Tell me a little bit about CharTech and what's your differentiator? What's unique about you compared to all the other trainers out there from your words?
Well, that's a good question. So CharTech, we had, we're just not a training company first. We were an MSP first. Mm-hmm. So when I was 21, I started up a managed service company, and it was break fix, and then we converted into managed services at the time, and the evolution started happening toward that model. And CharTech is 100% based off of my successes and failures in growing our managed services model. So it's not like I had a managed service company, made some money, sold it, and then I'm teaching everybody what I did 10 years ago or how I sold it or whatever it is. I mean, we still run that shit right now. We still run our classes. We still run our MSP. And it evolves and it changes based around the industry and what's going on with it.
Well, that's definitely uniqueness because, a lot of our friends at Greg, we've talked about this before, they go into the marketplace and they look for some copier guy. Let's find us some old copier guy and let's tell him he can go out into the marketplace and convince all these copier dealers they can get into IT because he has some great relationship with them or something. And we've also realized that ain't worked because over the last 12 years, we got a whole lot of our friends that are still failing miserably at it. And Nick, you can answer this question. Does Alex tell resellers what they want to hear to make them feel good, or does he tell them what they need to hear to make them better? I mean, simple question.
I don't think he tells anybody what they want to hear.
Yeah, there you go.
Ever.
That's probably why I like him so much. If we can't be candid with each other, especially we're trying to transform an industry. Who the hell ever said transforming an industry is like easy stuff? I mean, just the word transformation means you're ripping Band-Aids off, you're breaking bones. I mean, but we're going to do this with some simplicity that is anybody can do it. Anybody can do it if they have the right attributes and they apply those attributes and they learn. And that's probably what I liked about your class, Alex. You said something, and I want you to kind of elaborate on this a little bit because I think just this mindset of yours could help our friends. And I can't do your whole training class on End Today with Ray's episode. But you asked everybody the same question I asked you when we started this interview. What makes you unique? And of course the answers were, we're the greatest company in the world. We've been around for 40 years. We give great service, And you said, that just gives you permission. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I think the way you said that and the way you teach that is pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, what it is basically getting the idea that these companies or these salespeople think their company is so great because what happens is they end up saying the same message, whether it be on the phone, whether it be in front of a client, or whether it be in their marketing messages. They keep talking about how great they are, and how smart they are, how long they've been in business, what they do great, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, there's never going to be an MSP that goes in front of a client that just says, hey, you should buy from us because we're kind of just half-assed, and you're really not going to like our people. They're a bunch of dickheads, whatever all that is. They're always talking about how great they are. So why that's so important is because the only reason they're talking to a prospect right now is because that person is unhappy with their current IT guy, who, guess what? When he was selling them, said all those same things. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the IT guy before that he wasn't happy with said all those same things. Okay, so now here they are interviewing another IT company, but yet the salesperson is saying the same exact things that the last 5 other companies said that at the end of the day we're just let down by. So if most salespeople don't realize that, mm-hmm. and they need to understand that your typical claims of greatness nowadays are just taken with a grain of salt. And you should be good at all those things you say you're good at, all those attributes you say your people have. That should just be a permission to play type of thing that there's no reason to brag about it. It's kind of like when you go and buy a car, it's like the salesperson coming up and saying, hey, get this car, I'm going to throw in the tires. I'm going to give you air conditioning, and I'm going to give you the key to start the ignition. It's no big deal. That's just expected.
Yep.
And a lot of salespeople don't realize until it's explained to them that how unimportant that is to the end user. And when everybody's saying the same exact thing, Ray, mm-hmm. okay, and all things being equal, the only way the client's going to make a decision is going to be based on price. And I don't know anybody who likes to sell on price.
No. Well, of course, the Document Imaging Channel, that's all they do right now, but they're the greatest salespeople in the world. But Alex, the way he just explained that, folks, the process took 2 days. It's a very detailed process, but the way Alex tells you to go and do your discovery and the way you get the discovery and his whole entire sales process is extremely unique, and it's extremely powerful, and I strongly urge that you reach out to Alex and my good friend Nick over here. Nick, you guys do other things besides just the sales training around IT, and this is important because we can teach salespeople how to sell IT, but if they can't build the shit right, or they don't have the right processes in place on the back end, or they don't do the right things with their stack, it turns out to be a disaster. So can you elaborate a little bit on the other processes that you provide?
Yeah, Ray. So everything's based off our own MSP. Mm-hmm. So all the processes we're training on, they go hand in hand. As an example, there's no point spending a week, like our sales labs or 3 days longer than the sales simplicity seminars, specifically going through sales process, if they never get up to bat. So what is our lead machine? What marketing do we have in place? Feeding that funnel so we can actually follow the process and use what we've learned. Then, once the salesperson, we get the deal signed, we have to be able to hand it off to our project team, right? Our service coordinators to onboard the client. Because there's nothing worse than losing a client on the back end after you've already sold them because we're failing to deliver as advertised. We're not setting the proper expectations, communication. And that goes with engineering the proper solution ahead of time. But that communication from sales to service and then from service to ongoing support, we cover it all because they all have to be aligned or it's not going to work. We're going to have unhappy clients. We're going to lose clients.
Well, you will get referrals. I think it was Robert Stevens, the founder of the Geek Squad, said, marketing is a tax you pay when you're unremarkable. And I believe that in IT services and the companies that I talked to, my experience with my good friend Milton in Nashville was a lot of our business came as referrals based on our remarkability. And you can't, you could screw up a copier deal. I mean, let's be honest. It's a damn copier sitting by the water fountain in the hallway. You screw that up, that business isn't going to end. Most people probably don't even know it's broken for 3 days anymore, where before it was critical. But you screw up IT, you screw up infrastructure, you screw up their security systems, you do things that are stupid, it could affect the whole entire infrastructure of the business. Greg,
well, yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You know what, let me just interrupt you real quick. And this is huge in the digital imaging industry. You got a lot of these copier companies that are coming in, and they're selling the idea of selling managed services to their copier sales guys.
Mm-hmm.
The copier guys go out, they sell some of their best clients that they've been selling copy machines to for years and years and years. They sell them IT, and then you know what? On the operations side, they fail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So now what happens is that customer that took that salesperson's word that they're going to do IT for them, they are now unhappy when they never were unhappy before when they were buying copiers, and then that puts a bad taste in their mouth for the copier sales rep. He goes, you know what? I'm not gonna bring my A client to this side of the business no more because I just lost a great client who was perfectly happy giving me copier business. We jacked it up on the operational, on the back end side. So now we got to fix it before I even want to talk about it again.
Well,
that happens a lot.
It's a great point, and it does happen a lot. Whether they want to admit it or not, it does. And that's probably the reluctance of the salespeople. Or I believe a lot of it is the salespeople don't understand the stack. I mean, I've talked to some salespeople where these are from manufacturers who are in IT, and you talk to the salespeople, and they'll tell you they don't know what they're selling from one day to the next. They have no real structure in place to go out there and talk about getting an assessment, doing a discovery call. And so they end up, short-sighting the discovery, short-sighting the assessment because they hear something that they're comfortable with, like the lease ends on the copy machine, and that just hijacks the whole conversation. But that's a whole nother episode. Greg, I appreciate you, letting me know about this class. It was great to meet Alex. Nick, I look forward to meeting you. I need to get out to Bakersfield, California when you guys do an in-person thing. But, I've been so adamant trying to figure out how to help our friends transition. And, look, I'll be honest with you. Alex might be a little rough around the edges, but he knows his shit. And he's good at it. And, I've been in this business for 30 years. I spent the last 10 looking at this IT space. I spent a couple years with Milton, who's transitioned better than anybody in the space. And this guy gets it. And, I just wanted to bring him on because I want you all to have another place to go. And if you're tired of dabbling in it, and, Alex, you probably see this. These guys are just dabbling in IT, and the people that are helping them, they don't really care if they're successful or not. I mean, if a whole bunch of dealers just start throwing money at these folks and they get one deal and, they lost their ass doing it and they're not making any more money or they're not getting any more deals, that doesn't move the needle or change the game. So I don't think you allow your partners to dabble, do you?
No, not at all. And here's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody needs to realize that nobody wants to buy IT support. It is a product that is so darn undesirable.
It's not sexy.
They only buy it because they want to buy it. I mean, because they have to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's a need. They got to fill it. So you got to teach these salespeople to quit talking about the IT side of it. And it's not even about selling IT. It's more about how do we get people to share? How do we get them to open up so they can identify the problems that they have that IT will make go away? Okay? And once people realize that, holy cow, it's not even selling. It's just having business conversations, getting people to open up and solving their challenges. That's the biggest difference in what we teach compared to every other sales training company out there.
Well, and you're not, the bottom line is I spent 2 days with you and never once talked about the products. And that was really, that was interesting. And me and Greg were talking about that earlier. You know what, Alex and Nick, it was great to have you on. I want to have you on again. Is there anything you want to wrap up before we end this? And Greg, I appreciate the opportunity. Is there anything you want to add before we end this?
Well, yeah, I would like to say one thing. I was going to add on to one specific piece that Alex was kind of hinting at there. He really teaches the reps how to ask the right questions as well as when to ask those questions. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the question should be asked on the second meeting, not the first meeting. It gets that granular on the kind of questioning and how you ask them and when you ask them. Very, very valuable selling skill. I don't care what you're selling, but it helps get the customer talking about the problems that they have that you can then solve. And then again, that's where you get the high price per seat price. One story, it was about 2 sessions ago, there was a rep in there. The session wrapped up on a Thursday. They had their first meeting on a Tuesday. They implemented the things that Alex taught them the week before, and then the week after that, they closed an $8,500 a month MRR contract for about 45 seats. And so it works. I mean, it just works. It's not magic, but I would highly encourage you to spend some time with Nick, Alex, and the team over there. They do a great job.
Well, I appreciate it, Greg. You notice Greg froze up, so I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Greg moved. He moved further up in the mountains over there in Colorado, I think. Hopefully he'll get that internet guy out there tomorrow. But we were able to hear you, Greg. And, congratulations on the move, by the way. Guys, you got anything to add to this before we end?
No, I mean, if you're serious about getting your guys trained up, man, just know they're in good hands with our team and myself. And, we take a no bullshit line to sales training, and it's not sales training, it's managed services sales training. So if you just want to chat or shoot the breeze about what you have, man, we're here. Just give us a holler, and Ray will do whatever we got to do to keep everybody selling and make them rich.
All right, I appreciate you guys, and I'll look forward to talking again. Whether you're an OEM, whether you're a dealer, big or small, reach out to Alex. Those guys know what they're doing at CharTech. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all on Monday.